Why? Why are central banks buying so much gold? Something never seen before? Just imagine. A time when the global economy is passing through constant instability, the supremacy of the dollar is slowly trembling. Inflation in many countries has reached record highs, and even large investors have begun to fear traditional markets. In such a period, the world's central banks are quietly turning toward one single asset, gold. The same gold that was once seen merely as a symbol of jewelry or dowry has now become the most powerful weapon in global economics and politics. And the most surprising part is, the world has never witnessed such a massive wave of gold buying before. In 2025 alone, central banks are expected to purchase nearly 900 tons of gold, one of the largest and most aggressive buying sprees in decades. The question isn't just what they're buying. The real question is why. What has changed so much that the world's governments now trust gold more than the US dollar? The truth is, gold is not just a metal, it's a symbol of trust. Whenever a country's currency becomes unstable, inflation rises, or geopolitical tensions increase, gold becomes the answer to that crisis. Because gold is not affected by any nation's policy, a bank's mismanagement, or any economic sanctions. It remains firm in its intrinsic value. That's why central banks around the world, especially in Asia and the Middle East, are making gold a key part of their currency reserves. Recent data from the World Economic Forum showed that 76% of central banks believe the share of gold in their reserves will rise more than ever in the next 5 years. At the same time, 73% of banks believe the global dominance of the US dollar will decline. The picture is clear. The world is now moving from the dollar era to the age of gold. In just the past year, the price of gold has surged by 50 to 65%. Those who thought it was too expensive to buy a year ago are now regretting it. Because gold is no longer just an investment, it has become an economic shield. This gold rush by central banks isn't entirely new, but its intensity has never been seen before. In fact, the primary goal of every central bank is to keep its national currency stable. But when questions began to arise about the stability of the US dollar, when inflation kept rising globally, and when uncertainties like digital currencies started emerging, central banks realized they needed an asset that is solid and trustworthy. And the other name for that trust is gold. Gold owes nothing to any country or institution. It cannot default, nor can it be sanctioned. That's why when Western nations imposed economic sanctions on Russia, many countries around the world realized something important. What if the same thing happens to us tomorrow? From that moment, they begin increasing the share of gold in their foreign currency reserves. Take one striking example, China. For the past 18 months, China has been consistently buying gold. Its central bank, the People's Bank of China, has become the most aggressive gold buyer in the world. And this isn't just an investment move, it's a strategic decision. China knows that if its relations with the United States deteriorate further, depending on the dollar or US bonds could become a serious risk. Hence, it is accumulating gold as a shield asset. But this wave of gold buying isn't limited to China. Russia, Turkey, India, Qatar, Singapore, and even European countries like Poland and Hungary have doubled their gold reserves in the past 2 years. India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, RBI, is also part of this trend. Today, India has invested about 8% of its foreign currency reserves in gold, the highest level in the past decade. Now the question arises, is this merely a trend, or is there a deeper strategy behind it? In reality, the global economy today is grappling with multiple crises. The threat of recession is rising, the value of the US dollar is weakening, and the currencies of many nations are losing strength. In such an environment, when trust in currencies begins to waver, countries naturally turn to gold. Because gold is the only asset that is trusted not for someone's promise, but for its own intrinsic existence. Gold carries no counterparty risk, meaning its value doesn't depend on anyone else's ability to fulfill a promise. In contrast, the value of dollars, bonds, or digital currencies always depends on the issuer's credibility. That's why whenever the world enters a phase of uncertainty, the demand for gold rises sharply. Now let's understand how all this is challenging the dominance of the US dollar. Even today, the US dollar accounts for about 58% of the world's total foreign currency reserves. But that share is shrinking every year. In the early 2000s, it was close to 70%. This means that over the past 2 decades, the dollar's dominance has fallen by about 12%. The reasons are many: political instability in the US, growing debt levels, and the fear of financial sanctions. When the US imposes sanctions on a country, it can freeze that country's dollar accounts. And that fear has forced many central banks to think, what if the same thing happens to us tomorrow? Here, gold has emerged as a silent weapon. It strengthens a nation's monetary sovereignty, its control over its own financial destiny. Gold can be stored domestically. It isn't tied to the policies of any one country. And most importantly, it can be sold anywhere in the world at any time. There's another major aspect to the strategic return of gold: the rise of digital currencies. Today, many central banks around the world are developing their own central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. But even digital currencies need a stable and trustworthy backup. That's why experts believe that, in the future, many digital currencies will be backed by gold. In other words, gold could once again become the monetary base of the global economy, just as it was centuries ago. There's also an interesting political layer to this story. Countries like Russia and China are trying to move away from the US-led financial system. The BRICS bloc, consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is now exploring the idea of creating its own alternative currency system. And the foundation of this new system could also be built on a gold standard. This means a new global economic order is gradually taking shape, one where gold is returning to the center stage. Now think about it. If every central bank is buying gold at such a rapid pace, what impact will it have on the global markets? The first and most direct impact is on gold prices. In recent months, gold prices have been steadily rising, and many experts believe that within the next 2 years, the price could reach $3,000 per ounce. The second major effect is on investor behavior. Whether it's a small retail investor or a large institutional fund, everyone is now watching the central banks closely. If central banks are buying gold, it's a clear signal that the world is preparing for uncertain times. As a result, individuals too are adding gold or gold-based ETFs to their portfolios. The third impact is geopolitical. When central banks start distancing themselves from their dollar, it amounts to a kind of economic rebellion. It's a warning to the United States that its financial dominance is no longer unchallenged, and that very shift could redefine the global balance of power in the coming decades. The rising demand for gold has also inspired many countries to move towards self-reliance, and India is a prime example of this shift. India, the second largest gold importer in the world, is now striving to become self-sufficient in gold refining and reserves. The Reserve Bank of India is actively promoting initiatives like sovereign gold bonds and digital gold, so that citizens too can become part of this golden movement. According to economic experts, this gold buying spree by central banks is not merely a monetary policy, but a strategic realignment. They believe that in the coming decade, economic wars will not be fought with currencies, but with resources. And among those resources, gold will be the king asset. Gold's story is thousands of years old. It held value even before currencies existed. It remained valuable when the dollar was born. And now, even in an era of digital currencies and cryptocurrencies, gold continues to hold its ground. Perhaps that's because gold is not merely an economic element, it's a symbol of human trust. Today, in an age of global uncertainty, where a single tweet can shake markets, where one nation's debt can drag down entire economies, central banks have returned to the one thing that stands beyond time, power, and borders: gold. So the next time you read in the newspaper that gold prices have hit yet another all-time high, remember, this isn't just a market movement. It's a signal that the global economy is standing at a historic crossroads. The reign of the dollar may be inching toward its end, and gold is preparing to be king once again.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources: news from various news agencies, opinion polls, and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.